So welcome to today's session on ORCID training. My name is Tobile Mtetwa. I am the acting librarian for scholarly communication and postgrad support. So today's session on ORCID will cover what is ORCID, why it matters, and how to create your profile to increase your researcher visibility. So why researcher visibility? It promotes citation metrics, promotes collaboration opportunities, promotes professional growth and open doors for more funding, and enhances your academic profession. What does ORCID stands for? It is your Open Researcher Contributor ID. It is a global non-profit organization sustained by fees from member organization. So your ORC ID is your online CV. So what is the purpose of an ORC ID? An ORC ID is unique as it sets you apart from other scholars. For example, as you can see on the slide, if there are many Jason Browns, what an ORC ID does, it gives you a unique ID that allows you to be affiliated with the correct institution. And each time or every time you publish, people are able to find and discover your work and affiliate you with the right person. So ORCID can be integrated across different platforms, research and in academic institutions. When it is properly connected, the updates become automatic, meaning you don't have to constantly update your ORC ID yourself. So you will see when I demonstrate or illustrate an example of a well-populated ORCID. So what you have in front of you is an infographic that explains, for example, as you can see, you are the researcher in the middle. What an ORCID or an ORC ID does is that it connects you to different platforms or institutions. For example, if you a Rhodes Scholar, it will affiliate you with Rhodes University. So when you choose, maybe you start publishing as well with the different journals, you must always include your ORC ID so that you are discoverable and people are able to link and find your work with the right person. Also, importantly, when you apply for grant application, it's important to always put your ORC ID. So next, we're going to move on to navigating the ORCID interface. So to be able to access ORCID or create an ORC ID, you can go to the Rhodes Library webpage. Once you're at the Rhodes Library webpage, you will look for Access My Subject Guide. Then once you access My Subject Guide, you will scroll down to ORCID and then you should be able to click on a link and then you'll be able to access the ORCID platform. So once you get there, you can either sign in or register. If you already have an account, you can sign in. I will illustrate later on how to go about creating your ORC ID. And then you will have to authenticate through your institution, which is Rhodes University. Once you've authenticated, you would have to choose staff if you're a staff member student, if you are a student, and select continue. So here in front of you, or on the screen rather, you have an example of a well-integrated or a well-populated ORC ID. So you can see the website and the social links of the student or the scholar rather. They are linked to different platforms that are part of, be it is their social media accounts and academic profile. Their profile, the ORC ID is also linked to their researcher profile, which is Scopus. And also what you can see is their biography. But as the session progresses, I will illustrate the other section or parts of ORCID. So here we have something on trusted sources. So trusted sources, as I mentioned earlier, are those sources that are able to update your ORC ID on your behalf so that you don't have to constantly, every time you publish, you have to constantly go to your works and include your publications. So what they do, trusted sources do, is that every time you publish in journals indexed, maybe with Web of Science, Scopus, updates become automatic on your ORCID. So the different ORCID trusted sources include your Web of Science, your Rhodes University, which is institution through the Intembeko Hub, DataSite, Crossref, Scopus, and Dimensions AI. So here we have, you might be wondering why. Why do we need to integrate, sorry, why do we need to integrate ORCID across different platforms? It's to promote researcher visibility so that your work is accessible and discoverable. So the first way you can increase your researcher visibility is through integrating ORCID with the Intembeko ORCID Hub. Here, this is our institutional affiliation. So ORCID is a member of the ORCID Consortium in South African University, which is TENET. So what you have, our institutional affiliation is the Intembeko ORCID Hub, which stands for Trust in isiXhosa. So the hub acts as a trusted source. So every time you publish through Rhodes University, ORCID automatically updates on itself. You don't have to keep updating. So this is just a slide that explains what I've just stated. So when researchers connect the ORCID through the Intembeko Hub, Rhodes become a trusted source. So the next slides are a step-by-step. I will share the slides on how to access the Intembeko Hub and link it to your ORCID. So once you've added ORCID as a trusted source, you will see under your ORCID profile, it will say here, Rhodes University Intembeko Hub, meaning when you publish through Rhodes University, it automatically updated without you having to add your publication. So these are our under trusted parties rather. This is an example of an ORCID profile. Under trusted parties, I'll demonstrate when I show you the practical, where these trusted parties are able to provide automatic updates on your ORCID. So the other way in which you can increase your researcher visibility is through integrating ORCID with your Web of Science platform. And you would have to register or sign in if you already have a Web of Science profile. And then you will go to settings and then profile, and then you would select ORCID syncing, and then you would sync your profile with the Web of Science platform through pasting your ORCID ID or your ORCID account. And you will enable this section for automatic updates. Once you have synced the two, then every time you publish in journals that are indexed in Web of Science platform, it will automatically update your ORCID. So this is just an example where the scholar had integrated the ORCID into the Web of Science. When they publish in journals indexed in the Web of Science platform, the ORCID automatically updates. Another way to increase your researcher visibility is to also link your Scopus profile to your ORCID. You would have to set up a profile on your Scopus, and then you would have to sign in through the Rhodes University. So colleagues have already touched on how to set up the different platforms such as your Scopus and Web of Science. So you can consult those postgrad training sessions if you need a guide on how to create one. And then you would come to, once you've set up your Scopus profile, you will come here under authors. You will write the author's last name and surname, and then you will search. Once you've searched, if the scholar or researcher or student has published in journals indexed in Scopus, then the affiliation will appear here. For example, this scholar this researcher rather, they've published in journals indexed in Scopus. So you will select and then come to edit author profile. Once you've edited, then you will be asked to link with ORCID. Their profile is already linked. Then you will paste your ORC ID and then you will authenticate. Once you've authenticated, your IDs will appear here, your Scopus ID, your Web of Science, they all will appear here under IDs. So there are different links in which you can add to your ORC ID. It's your GSpace, which is our institutional repository, your Figshare, and other social media profiles, and academic platforms. So another way, we strongly encourage people to add their ORC ID to their email signature so that when you send out email, people are able to see for visibility. People are able to see that you have an ORCID ID and click on it and see your works. So now we will head over to our live demonstration. So I will start by going to the Rhodes Library webpage. When I go to the Rhodes Library webpage, I will first demonstrate on how to create an ORC ID. So I will go to access my subject guide once I'm on the Rhodes Library webpage. Then I will scroll down, go to ORCID. Once I'm here, I will click here, ORCID. That's our subject guide for ORCID. And then once I'm on the ORCID website, I will sign in or register. Because I already have an ORC ID, I will just say sign in through your institution. And then when I select sign in through my institution, I will ask to write my organization name, or it will pop up here because it already recognizes me. It will say sign in through this institution. Then I would use my Rhodes email. As students or academics, you use your Rhodes email, yes, and then password, which will be your G, maybe 26, or your staff number. Once I'm signed in, I will now have access to my ORC ID. So now I will just quickly navigate through this platform, but I will show you an example of a well-populated ORC ID. Here we have one of our Rhodes PhD scholars, Dr. Moremoholo. So one of our staff members at the library, Ms. Katu Padziri, helped her create her ORC ID. You can also request, if you need assistance with like setting up your ORCID, I can also assist you if you're busy or you're having a hard time setting it up. So here, what you can see is in front of you is Moremoholo's ORC ID. They have the biography. They have under website and social links. All the different social media platforms are linked. They also have keywords associated with the research interest areas, also countries of where they've been. You will see in other ORC IDs, you would have, for example, if I search here, Sue McKenna's ORC ID, you will see that on her ORC ID, she would have links to, let's see, she would have links to her other IDs, which is Scopus and Researcher ID, as well as our GSpace and other social media platforms such as ResearchGate, Academic Edu. So you can link those under your ORC ID. So now I'll navigate back to my ORCID. So when you get to the ORCID interface, right, you have your biography, which you would have to insert, then your employment history. So as you can see here in Ms. Moremoholo's ORCID, she has her employment history where she's worked, right? You can populate that yourself, and then education where she's studied and qualification, her professional activities, be it where she's presented or where she's act or awards she's received. She's included them under her ORC ID. Also, the different funding she's received over the years, she's also added that. Importantly, you can see that she also has her works here. So under works, you can choose to add, right, your works manually, or when you publish, like I said, in databases that are indexed in journals that are either indexed in Web of Science, Scopus, or through our institution, automatic updates happen. So just to give you a bit of a feel of what I'm talking about, if you decide to add manually, you can click on the add button. And then even for works, you can add them manually, or you can use a DOI and paste it, and then you should be able to it should be able to pull out your publication. For example, here, because I have a Scopus profile, this was an automatic update. I didn't have to add that manually. But when you add them manually, you'll see it will just be your name. So now I'm gonna show you, if you scroll up here, we have trusted parties. So when I speak of integrating your ORC ID with different platforms, it would be these trusted parties. Once you grant access, they will appear under trusted parties and they will update your ORC ID on your behalf. For example, here we have Scopus, your Dimensions AI, your NRF, and so forth. But you will see when I show you next on how to rather link your ORC ID to your Web of Science platform. So next up, I'm going to navigate to the Rhodes Library webpage again. And now I'm going to show you how to link your Web of Science database or profile rather. Let me quickly go back. So what I did was I went back to the Rhodes Library webpage. I navigated to databases A to Z. Because I want the database Web of Science, I will go to W, then I will select Web of Science, then Access Database. So once I get to the Web of Science platform, right, I will sign in if I have an account already or register. So here you can choose to register or sign in. I'm going to choose to register using my ORC ID. You can use your institutional email address and password, but in this instance, I'm going to choose to log in with my ORC ID. So once you ask to log in with your ORC ID, right, or using your institutional email address, it will ask you, this pop-up message will say authorize access. Earlier on, we spoke about trusted parties, right? So here we have Dimension Scopus, but we don't have Web of Science. The minute I authorize exit, it means I'm adding Web of Science as a trusted source. I'm going to authorize access. Once I've authorized access, I'm going to come in. It means I've granted the Web of Science platform access to my ORC ID, in the sense that I'm granting it access to update my profile on my behalf. It won't edit your information. It will just update every time you publish in journals indexed in Web of Science. And then you can come to your profile under the Web of Science platform. You go to settings. Once you get to setting, you go to profile, select profile. When you select profile, there's something called ORCID syncing. You select ORCID syncing, then you would paste your ORCID ID or your ORCID account. I've already linked mine, as you can see. Once you've pasted here, then you enable all of these, right? So that it automatically syncs your ORCID and your Web of Science. And then when you come to under trusted parties, here, once you have synced, it should appear here. So here is the Web of Science platform that I just granted access, which is Clarivate. Web of Science is under Clarivate. So now every time I publish in journals indexed in Web of Science, my ORCID would automatically update. So colleagues, a similar thing happens in our other databases. For example, Scopus is another platform in which you can link to your ORCID. I'm just going to quickly show you. So when you go to Scopus, you're going to go to our databases A to Z and then Scopus, because Scopus starts with an S, navigate to S, and then we're going to scroll down until we find Scopus. Then I'm just going to quickly log in. If it doesn't log you in automatically, you would have to sign in through the institution. Because I already have an account, it automatically signed me in, but you would have to, the same way we had to authenticate through our Web of Science platform, you'd have to use your Rhodes email address and use our institutional login. So once you logged in into your Scopus profile, you come to authors, then you will search using your last name, Mthethwa, and then your first name, Tobile, and then you search. Because, for example, this scholar has published in a journal indexed with Scopus, you select the affiliation, let's say Rhodes, for example, and then here under author, for example, this is the part where it becomes interesting. If there are many Tobiles in Mthethwa, now the affiliation helps you with selecting the correct Tobile and linking it to your ORCID. So if there are many Mthethwa Tobiles, then I want the one from Rhodes University. Then I would say, select Tobile, Mthethwa Tobile rather. Then I will come to edit author profile. Once I select edit author profile, this pop-up message will come up. Once it comes up, I will select continue. I've already linked my profile, but I can say re-authenticate. So here you will paste your ORCID again. So when you authenticate, it now links it to your ORCID. And then if you had to come to my ORCID, my profile rather, here, you will see that Scopus is added, right, as a trusted source, as my other IDs, as a researcher ID. So colleagues, I remember earlier on I spoke about the Intembeko ORCID Hub integration, which is our institutional affiliation. So I'm going to quickly show you how to also connect your ORCID to our institutional affiliation, which is the Intembeko ORCID Hub. So I'm just going to navigate to my web browser. Then I'm going to say Intembeko ORCID Hub. And then when I get here, this is the platform, I would have to sign in. When I log in, it would ask me to use my Rhodes credentials, and then I will select Rhodes University. Once I'm signed in, I can come to my ORCID. It will say your ORCID. And then as you can see here, it says, take me to ORCID to allow Rhodes University permission to access my ORCID. If you come here under trusted parties under my ORCID, you can see the Intembeko ORCID Hub is not a trusted source. So when I grant permission, it will become a trusted source. I'm just going to copy my ORCID, sorry. Then I'm going to click on that link because I want to authorize, I want to allow the Intembeko Hub to become a trusted source. Then I'm going to grant it access. So every time I publish through Rhodes University, my profile will become automatically updated. And then here it says you are logged into, okay, I'm not sure why that is popping up. But once you've authenticated under ORCID, the Intembeko ORCID Hub should appear as a trusted source as well. As you can see, it's now added as a trusted source. So every time I publish through Rhodes, my profile will become automatically updated. So colleagues, today's session on ORCID covered on how to integrate your ORCID profile and how to set it up, and then integrate it with different platforms, your Web of Science, your Scopus, your Intembeko ORCID Hub, which is our institutional affiliation. You can also link it to our research intelligence tool that we recently started using, which is Dimension AI. If you haven't heard of Dimensions AI, you can simply navigate to our Rhodes Library webpage, databases A to Z, and then click on D, and then you'll find Dimensions Analytics. And then you can also add it under links so that people are able to view your profile. My colleague, Mr. Samuel Smang, has already covered a session on what is Dimension AI as a research intelligence tool. We'll simply log in here with your Rhodes email address and then add the Dimension AI and IDs to website and link. You will manually add that to your ORCID. Thank you so much, colleagues, for attending today's session. I think I've covered everything that entails with ORCID, but if you do have other questions, I'm here. And before you leave, I would kindly ask you to please fill in our diagnostic survey if you haven't done so. And then also please complete our summative survey. For the end of the session, I'm just going to copy and paste it on the chat. That's our summative assessment link. If you do not have any other questions, colleagues, thank you so much for attending today's sessions. I'm happy to take on any questions that you may have. And I will shortly share our contact details of myself and my line manager, Mr. Samuel Simango. Please contact us should you have any other questions that you may have. I will stay behind should you have further questions about today's session. Please join us for tomorrow's session as well on Zotero. Thank you for attending. Colleagues, since there are no more questions, thank you so much for attending today's session. See you tomorrow when I facilitate the Zotero training. Thank you so much. Have a lovely afternoon.